right. Go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Ames Parks and Recreation Commission for Thursday, February 15th. First item on the agenda is the approval from of the minutes from January 18th, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion is on the table to approve the minutes from January 18th, 2024. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public forum. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission for items not on the agenda. All right, seeing none for public forum, we'll go ahead and close public forum. Next item on the agenda is a motion approving an agreement with the Ames High School volleyball team.
Yes, so this is another long-standing relationship that we have with the Ames High School volleyball program. We offer 2 camps a year that is produced by the Ames High coaches along with their players. We do a indoor volleyball camp, and then we also do a sand volleyball camp. We typically hold those in the springtime for the indoor, and a sand volleyball camp in the summertime. We don't have any significant changes. Everybody has been happy how it's progressed. We had 49 participants last year and continue to grow that this year. Have plans to grow that this year. How the camp is basically set up, like I explained, the coaches provide all the instruction. The city conducts registration, does the promotion, and collects all the fees. And then at the end of the camp, we have a 70-30 split, with the city retaining 30% and that 70% going to the Ames High volleyball team. And we host the sand programs out in the local parks. And then the indoor camps, we either offer them here at the community center, or we have through the relationship we have with the Ames Community School District. So to continue this relationship and be able to offer this program for youth grades 3 through 6, staff recommends approving alternative 1 to approve the agreement to conduct programs for calendar year 2024. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or feedback for Courtney?
Nope.
All right, would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll motion approving alternative 1.
Second.
All right, motion on the table is to approve alternative 1, which is to approve the youth volleyball camp agreement with the Ames High School volleyball program for the calendar year 2024. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving alternative 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is a staff report regarding the mini pitch project in Lloyd Kurtz Park.
Yeah, I'll just say maybe a couple of words quick before Courtney kind of walks you through this. So we did have a public input session last week, February 5th. Over 40 people, approximately 40 people attended, which was really good. Dwayne was there, listened to what was happening and so on. We are going to be taking this to City Council on the 27th. So we wanted to share this information with you. And there are some questions that you saw in the staff report that Courtney will kind of walk you through and get feedback. So, Courtney.
Yeah, so like he said, this is for the proposed mini pitch project for Lloyd Kurtz Park, which is located off Bloomington, next to Stonebrook Community Church. Maybe it is on. There we go. Hold you in suspension a little bit of all the good stuff. Just a high level summary. What is a mini pitch court? So it's a smaller size soccer field. That's where the pitch comes into the name. It is hard surfaced. It is lighted, and it's enclosed by a rebound system. So typically it's a smaller soccer field. So it's replicating that indoor setting of the game futsal, which is a faster paced, small sided soccer game. And you have the ability to add features onto these courts. So as you can see on the picture on this slide, there's some pickleball courts on it. You can also add basketball courts as well. And then where the lighting is enclosed, there's some storage units there to be able to store that extra equipment. All right. These are the potential court sizes. So for one court, or the proposed court sizes, one court would be 50 by 104 feet, and then two side by side would be 96 feet by 104. And we'll go over in some future slides how these would look on the site. But significantly smaller than obviously a full-size soccer field. So why a mini pitch court? One of the main things is that obviously a goal for Parks and Recreation is to offer diverse amenities throughout our park system. Like I mentioned, it's obviously a lot smaller footprint than a full-size soccer field. When turf conditions are not ideal, especially in the springtime with wetter weather conditions, the court would be a suitable surface to play on. It serves all ages from youth to adults, and especially if there's multi-activities, people who have different interests. It's also with the hard surface ADA accessible and also inclusive with the different programming and opportunities there. And obviously, as part of Parks and Recreation, we want to promote health and physical activity. Why specifically Lloyd Kurtz Park? So why this park was selected was one for the accessibility. It's located on a arterial street of Bloomington, and it has is connected to shared use paths and has multiple sidewalk connections throughout a neighborhood. There's a lot of green space. There's over 3 acres of green space on this park. And like I mentioned before, this is a good opportunity to be able to spread amenities to different areas throughout the community. Visibility, obviously, with it being on within a neighborhood and also next to Bloomington Road, it also provides that visibility for surveillance or security from police being able to see that from the street through drive-bys. Off-street parking arrangement. We'll go into more detail of this, but with the close proximity of Stonebrook Community Church, we have an existing agreement with them since 1998 that public can use that parking lot to access the park. And we're working on extending that with the mini pitch to also include accessible pathways and such from that parking lot. It's out of the floodplain. Obviously, that's a big goal to have a lot of our amenities outside the floodplain. So if there are flood conditions, it reduces the amount of damage that we would endure to those amenities. And it's also on a side ride route. Like I mentioned, we have partners with Stonebrook Community Church. Like I said, we're working on making a more ironclad agreement with them to exist into the future, and also to look into different options how Stonebrook Community Church could benefit from a mini pitch and have access for some of their activities as well. Kick It Forward is also another partner that is an opportunity. They are a fundraising 501c3 that is actually located here in Iowa, and they actually help fundraise and have fundraised for a lot of mini pitches in Iowa to be built and installed, raising funds either for the whole court or a portion of those funds to help see projects to fruition. Some of the comments and concerns listed here, like Keith mentioned for the public meeting, we listed some that we preemptively thought that some of the community members would have, and in return, we can address some of the comments that they had for us, throughout these slides as well. Obviously, one main comment and concern was restrooms. A lot of that was addressed by, that we do have the capability to put portable restrooms out there. We usually don't have a lot of programming at that park right now, so it doesn't really fall in the criteria that we would have a permanent restroom facility there. But with the addition of this, we would be exploring additional portable restrooms. And one of just the major concerns with the neighborhood was just making sure that they could be secured or tied down to make sure they didn't tip over in inclement weather or if somebody was bored that day, found that as a form of entertainment. So that's something we can definitely consider and look at. Drinking fountains being another. That's actually one thing that Kick It Forward through our preliminary conversations have mentioned that they usually have interested sponsors who fundraise and will donate money to put drinking fountains next to these amenities. Obviously, when you talk about adding an amenity, it does mean taking away some green space, but this slide represents, obviously, with one court being around 5,700 square feet, two courts being obviously over 10,000 square feet, but how much space it actually takes up. So within that total footprint of the 3 acres of green space there, it's about two courts taking up approximately a fourth of an acre and one court taking 1/8 of 1 acre. So still a lot of green space for other activities to occur out there. Traffic and parking. This is another item that was brought up. Obviously, we have and are continuing with that agreement with Stonebrook Community Church. They are also in support of this project through our conversations. They think it would be a great amenity to the park. They have over 180 parking spots and ADA parking as well. Some of the community feedback was also on just how to educate through signage to direct people over to that area and to avoid on-street parking. Obviously, we talked about it's on side ride bus routes with multiple stops within that area, shared use paths, and then also the Bloomington and Hyde intersection. That seemed to be the main concern with traffic along the Hyde and Bloomington area there. Staff did indicate through conversations with the city's traffic engineer that there has been a traffic study conducted, and the result did warrant a signal at this intersection. So that is in their plans. There's just not a definite timeline at this point of when that would occur. And hopefully with the close proximity of the neighborhood in different areas, that would limit a lot of vehicle access and promote with the shared use bike access, as well as people walking to the park.
Yeah, I would just mention in regards to parking, a couple of the other issues. It really seemed, and Dwayne, you could chime in, but like it was mentioned in the staff report, it really came in down to 3 different categories, all their comments. Parking, traffic, safety was kind of one, items related to the mini pitch courts, and then just items related to other park issues. So there was a lot of comments, a lot of time spent just on the parking and the traffic, the speed, the number of cars. It's only going to get worse when the developments, start happening further to the north. They had questions or comments about, could we just from Welbeck to then kind of on the north end of the park all the way to Bloomington, just don't even allow parking because people are parking. Parking is on the west side of the street. Park is on the east side of the street. Kids get out of cars, run across the street. So just a lot of safety concerns, with that. So, and there was some interest in maybe trying to get a traffic signal at Eisenhower and Bloomington as well. So as you noticed in some of the comments, there's a lot of it that we just need to follow up and make that information available to the city's traffic engineer, and then they'll have to make a decision on that. But that seemed to be a big concern for a lot of the attendees. Would you agree, Dwayne?
I think that was the main concern. This was a project that, looking around the room, everybody was very excited about. They thought it was a great addition to the north side of town. Keith had mentioned a multi-use path around the park for walking, because parents said something about our kids could go play and we could walk. That would kind of tie in some of the sidewalks. They thought it might also tie in people parking in Brookside, because there's a cul-de-sac to the north that they said that becomes a nightmare because there's a day camp that releases over there. So everybody parks up in there, or they park on Hyde, and it is, they're on the west side. So the kids run straight across to the park. So, or from the park in. I think they were going to try to reach out to that. Is it a Y camp that does that, or you were
Yeah,
going to?
yeah, and that's something that I did mention to everybody in attendance, that we would reach out to that camp. Joshua's had conversation with them before, and really just say, if you're going to do this, you need to park. Parents need to park in the Stonebrook Church lot, and really help us out here from that standpoint. So yeah, so a lot of good things. So just wanted to mention those, because you're right, that was that was a huge concern, and that was probably the first 45 minutes or so of the conversation was
I
all
think
related to that.
One of the parents actually said they're very surprised that a kid hasn't been hit already.
Yeah.
And that was the big key, but they're very excited about this project. And I think it brought some life to that area, because they said I think they mentioned that, depending on who you heard, they don't really use that park except for the shelter and the playground. And they're very concerned about the playground. Keith had mentioned they're getting a new one probably later this spring, early summer.
Mhm.
So that helped. But this addition up there kind of made it, and it is a big, big green area. So they're not really using it.
Yep.
So it's going to be nice for them.
I mean, this traffic calming issue seems to be a concern aside from the park. Having, an addition of an amenity to the park, it seems like this is just a more major concern, since we have that, Hyde is now a through street to 190th that just needs to be addressed for neighborhood safety reasons, independently of additional traffic that may arise from this amenity. So
Yeah, and that was a concern. And one of the things that I did mention in regards to the parking, so right now people are parking where they're parking because it's close. People, the lack of a better term, are lazy. They want to get as close to the place as they can. So the fact where, in the slide that Courtney had shown, where we're looking at putting these courts, whether it's one or whether it's two, is really in close proximity to the parking lot. So people will park in the lot. They'll come off of Bloomington, they'll turn on to Eisenhower, they'll go into the lot. And unless people are coming from the north, it really shouldn't put a lot of extra traffic on Hyde. And again, it's going to be episodic. It's not going to be all the time with it. So
Yeah, and that's obviously a great thing about another aspect of community meetings, where you can hear things from other areas and get that input to consider, or if it falls within another area within the city, we can pass those along so they can explore those options. So that's what we'll do.
well, and I think the neighbors are courteous, or the park users, because the church is private property, and if it's not abundantly clear that you can park there, then people are going to park on the street where they know it's public parking. So, I generally agree with these educating and signage and whatever, say, yes, you can park in the church lot. And I think that'll alleviate a ton of the concern. So,
Yeah, so as kind of echo the comments too that were made, so traffic, parking, and safety, and really mini pitch related items, when we take that, obviously there were some other park items that were addressed, but overall, even with those comments, mostly we're in favor of adding the mini pitch, and would like to see 2 courts instead of 1. And then obviously with funding, which we'll go over in a few slides, if there was concerns over that, they thought 1 would obviously be acceptable. They would like to see this amenity included. And even if there were 2, they were in support to where if 1 had those multi-use components, then 1 could be dedicated for that futsal soccer space as well. So go ahead.
I had a quick question about the rendering with the double fencing.
Mhm.
So what would be the advantage of having 2 rather than just having an interior that's higher? Because it looks like the fence on the inside is fairly low. So is the second fence just to protect balls from going out into the street? Or, could you just have one?
One of them's the part of the field. And then when you go through that one, that's where the players stand between the other 2. So the outer one is think about a dugout.
Oh.
So you go out to the outer one and it kind of becomes where you're out of the field to play.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say that this isn't maybe necessarily a good representation because we're not looking at having a double fence.
Right.
It would, in this, maybe it looks like that, but it would just be one fence around it. So maybe go to one of the other pictures,
Yeah.
Courtney.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So this where it's open
yeah.
on the exterior of the concrete.
Yeah. So if you look at this, so really what we would be looking at is this type of design that there's just the fence around the court and that's it.
Correct.
There isn't two fences. There's just one. Obviously you can see the on the ends by the goals, the fence is higher. That is to keep balls from going, but the side fences, yeah, are maybe 4 foot high. That's about it.
Yeah, and with the type of ball that they use for
Yeah.
futsal, it's a heavier weight type of ball, so it doesn't travel like a traditional soccer ball with that weight. It keeps it lower to the ground, and that's how they're able to play it in indoor settings as well. Yep.
What's the proposed surface material?
So there are 2 court surfaces that are utilized in this application. You can have an acrylic surface, and then there's also like a snap tile type of surface that is also used. There are courts in both Iowa and even in Omaha, Nebraska that have used both applications. So that would be something we would have to weigh and compare to fully decide on what option we went with.
So the acrylic surface is like a tennis court, basically, is what it is. It's asphalt or concrete with that acrylic surface on top. And I think we, in our conversations, we're kind of leaning towards the acrylic rather than that snap tile, because that does create some other issues, especially if you're going to be playing other activities. With it.
Yeah. Especially with other activities. If you have basketball or pickleball, if you get a dead spot in one of those tiles, then it affects the game more significantly than if it was just your futsal game. So with the courts, obviously intense for usage, obviously we would want to make it available for public use. That was one of the comments in regards to lighting, how even if the lights are programmed, if when they're not on all the time, if they have the accessibility, like in some of our other parks with tennis courts, that they can go press a button and able to turn it on for neighborhood use and public use. It would be something that we would look at to have leagues and or tournaments. And obviously in the agreement that I talked about with Stonebrook, having dedicated time for church use potentially as part of that partnership, and then also offer it as rentals to the public. The Ames Soccer Club in just preliminary conversations with this would also likely have an interest in using this as well. But obviously, like any other amenity that we have, the intent would be for public use, and then the programming, as Keith mentioned, would be sporadically throughout the week or weekend, and we would work around different times, obviously, that the church has high activity as well. And it would be within our park hours, so 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. And then we would also have, like with our softball fields, be able to have that lighting, have the ability to turn them on and off from a remote distance as well. With some of the lighting, obviously that always, causes concern when putting it near neighborhoods. But the nice thing with mini pitch lighting, it's all LED and it's directed onto the surface. So one court equals one pole with two fixtures on it that do have a spill light and glare control. And then, like I mentioned, the remote on and offs. With that. So with the feedback, we would want to make it accessible for the public to use. And then also there were some comments on if we could adjust the lighting, which we could during summer and school hours to help accommodate for the lighting. So cost-wise, one court, just preliminary estimates would be around $196,000. 2 courts, $336,000, and that's fully installed with accessible walkway, lighting, electrical, the mini pitch structure itself, fencing, etc. So the city has funds to contribute to this project in $150,000. That's where a potential partnership with Kick It Forward would come into play. From a fundraising standpoint, we'll still have to have those conversations with them further to see what their fundraising threshold is. That can help us kind of decide which way we go, but that would, and obviously in going to council, they would have some potential options in that as well. But initial funds, city has $150,000 to dedicate towards the project. And some of the questions were how the community could help, and obviously with partnerships and those types of things within the community, obviously Kick It Forward would be fundraising those. But if there's organizations or group that have otherwise, contributed to other projects within the park, those would be options obviously with this as well. So our next steps, coming to commission tonight, having the public meetings, those were the first two boxes to check. Next, we would finalize the agreement with Stonebrook Church and finalize conversations with Kick It Forward, as I mentioned, with their funding capacity. And then we'll plan to take this to Ames City Council on Tuesday, February 27th, to have further discussions. So as mentioned in the commission action form, there are some commission direction and some questions that we have to ask. But before we get to those, does anybody have any questions about the mini pitch system that we haven't addressed already, or any general comments that they'd like to provide?
Yeah, I didn't know much about this. This is really exciting, and I didn't realize that we could use it for multi-use. So what's the end user ability to shift from mini pitch to pickleball? Is this going to be like a standalone fence that's accordion that can just go out, or how would the community switch between those?
There would be multiple options. So it would likely be a portable system that we'd be able to have stored there on site that they could put out.
I really like that idea. What's also to keep this from becoming like the dog park north, just signage, maybe, I guess, some education with the community.
You mean?
I guess I would need a little bit more background of what you mean on that one.
So I don't know that if you're thinking, will community members bring their dogs and let them run on the courts?
Right.
I don't know that that's going to happen. We don't see a lot of on our tennis courts and so on. We don't see that. We do see it at the ball diamonds, but again, that's grass, and sometimes they'll let their dogs run. We have more issues with just open space. But I don't know that we have a lot of issues up at Lloyd Kurtz.
Perfect.
So getting them having the dogs run on the courts, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Good.
You mentioned a specialized ball for this size of court. Would that be something that could be checked out, or, would that also be available? I mean, like something like that's obviously easier to steal than like a net, but a portable net, but I don't know. I just, because it's that education component. So
yeah, we haven't had those conversations.
Oh,
It would be I just in, like you said, leaving things out. Obviously, wouldn't be the plan, or leaving things unlocked where people could grab it. That probably wouldn't be successful. But those are some things we could have further conversations about.
Yeah, generally with
You can
these
still
and
use
with the futsal ball, this is how they're set up. This is how they're going to play. If we were going to have a league or a tournament, that's the ball that we would supply for those events. But you can use any ball,
Right.
And most likely, what's going to happen, if kids like soccer, they probably have a soccer ball, in the garage, and they'll just bring that in, and then they'll play with whatever. It doesn't have to be a futsal ball, but if we're going to do programmed events, that's what we will use.
Mhm.
So,
Keith, one of the things that we heard in the discussion is the fundraising aspect of it, but also if you partner up, say I know Gilbert Soccer was very, very interested in it, and Ames Soccer was interested in it. If you contracted with those, could you take funds that are future funds with those to put into this project to get this thing done? Because you're looking at probably another $200,000 to go 2 courts plus amenities. To say we have some future funds, let's shift them, because we know those are going to come in through contract. Is that possible within your guys' realm to do that?
So generally, the funds that we have available are funds that are specified for projects. So if we were going to, again, with CIP, what we do is city council allocates funding just for 1 year, and then the rest of the funds or projects are in concept. So if we were going to take funds, we would have to delay, another project. I think right now, that's something that we can, share with council. We'd have to have more conversation about that, prioritize. So I know that was when we took this to, or had council conversation during the CIP, that when we had that presentation, that was one of the concerns. Do we just do one court? And because they don't know, it didn't sound like some council members really wanted to wait the 6 to 9 months for fundraising to happen through Kick It Forward. And that's just in the conversations that Courtney has had with that group. That was kind of the time estimate. So we'd have to have more conversation. We have not done something like that with other projects. Occasionally we've been able to use money a little early. If we have money that's available July 1st, we have been able to use it a little bit earlier, but that's for that specific project. We haven't used it for other things. Now, one of the things that we might be able to do is we do have some projects that we're finishing up, and if those projects come in under budget, we could potentially use that money and shift it to, this project. I think that's more likely a scenario than trying to use monies in advance before they're there. Does that help you?
Yeah, I just was, based on the two different organizations, it sounded like they really like this idea and need an alternate spot that doesn't, flood and everything else or becomes mud. And that is a contractability aspect that we could explore and possibly cut that 200,000 down into darn near nothing over a multi-year contract. So that you have that contract with those two agencies or organizations, or maybe even more. This might go nuts, quite frankly. The people in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the
Yeah.
same.
So, all right, I might have just misunderstood a little bit.
No,
what
I
you're
mean,
saying. So-
I understand the way your money
so-
moves, but it's almost kind of like a revenue bond rather than bonding. That
So-
if you guys had other funds, you could shift.
Yeah. So, but maybe entering into a contract with Ames Soccer Club, Gilbert, and other groups to say, see if they would maybe they put in 10,000 a year for 5 years.
Yeah.
They may not have it right away. All right. I understand what you're saying now. We could explore that. We'd have to have, the conversations obviously with those groups and see if that's something that they'd want to do. But yeah, no, we can do that.
Mhm.
Would the fundraising involve, I saw one screenshot that had the Come and Go logo in the middle. Is that what they're talking about? Is possibly some advertising or whatever on the courts?
Yeah, so
whatever.
potential signage, whether it be
Yeah.
on the court as far as logo recognition, on the rebound system, the fence around it. That's been traditional means
Almost
that
like
they've
dasher
used.
boards at the rink.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
So that's something that we will have more conversation if council directs us to do the fundraising or enter into an agreement with Kick It Forward. Because some of the things that Courtney and I have talked about is, we do have a naming policy, and potentially somebody may want to name this, the Jeremy Bristow mini pitch courts.
Yes.
I love that. So
That's something I can get behind.
yeah. But we talked about, are there some limits? If you give $2,000, maybe it's nothing. You give 25,000, this is what you get. 50,000, this is what you get. And remember, our naming policy does not allow logos. It's more so names. So we just have to work through some of that as we go. But it is something that we want to. It is an option for Kick It Forward when they're out fundraising to to put that as a carrot out there to try to get some money.
Mhm.
Yeah, and separate to Dwayne's question, they Kick It Forward has mentioned a lot of their successful projects. They do team up with, somebody like Ames Soccer Club, Gilbert, local soccer clubs that, help point them in the right directions to find those people passionate about the project. That just makes their fundraising efforts, much easier to accomplish.
No, I think this thing will get a lot of use.
And I think due to that usage and cost saving advantage of putting 2 courts in at the same time, that's
Mhm.
probably what
Oh,
we
yeah.
pursue it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of trying to put one in and adding one later on, might as well just pursue putting 2 in it initially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that kind of leads into some of the questions that Courtney's going to ask.
Good segue, Nathan.
I was like, shoot, we wanna-
So, as listed in the commission action form, we do have a few questions for commission as far as direction. So, where staff or commission can provide direction to city council on on the following items when we go to them on February 27th. So we can take them one by one. So the first one, should the city move forward with this project?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Collective, yes.
100%.
So the next one, should the city pursue 1 or 2 courts?
2.
2.
I think 2 if you can swing it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just you just added a little something there.
I
there,
said if you
Sarah.
can swing it, but
So
yeah.
can swing it.
Yeah.
Because I know one of the initial comments at the public input session was, hey, as much as we would love, and one individual, as much as he would love to see 2 courts, 1 might be all that we can afford. And do we do, maybe just 1 instead of 2? As time went on in the evening, and we were there probably a good 2 hours, just about 2 hours. It became very evident that the group was more in favor of 2 courts than 1. So this is good. So we'll put all this information together for council and things. So
Yeah,
Go
Keith
ahead.
had a whiteboard that he had really nice sentences on there, and pretty soon he was writing on the bottom. And up and down. I have no idea how he read his writing there for a while.
I did ask for a pass on that too.
He probably had about 50 comments
Yeah.
and they were mostly positive. I mean, it was really good to hear.
Yeah,
So
it was a good meeting. Yeah, it was. a
Yeah,
good
we were
meeting.
there a while.
next question for commission would, should the city enter into an agreement with Stonebrook Church?
I think
Yeah.
so.
And should the city enter into a agreement with Kick It Forward for fundraising for this project?
Absolutely.
I have a question about that because
Yeah.
there were people in the audience, and I think one of them represented the Gilbert Soccer Club or Gilbert Soccer. I don't know how that's all organized up there.
Yeah,
That they were very adamant that they wanted to pull the fundraising early. Did you get that feeling from them?
I'm say more. I'm not.
One of the, and I don't remember which family because they got all mixed up after a while.
Yeah.
But there was one family there that I believe was part of Gilbert Soccer, and their kids played for Gilbert Soccer. That talked about, because you were talking about the Kick It Forward, and maybe it'd be down the road, and they were like, "Well, how can we get this going now?"
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. So with it, to get the fundraising now, all we would have to do is council would have to approve an agreement, with Kick It Forward, and they could start the fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
So Courtney again has been working with Kick It Forward, has a draft agreement, and our goal on the 27th will be to take all of this information that you've seen, as well as comments from the commission tonight, take that to city council, take the agreement for, based on what you're telling us, Stonebrook Church, hopefully take that and the council could approve that that evening. And the goal is to again have maybe that kick it forward agreement, hopefully have that kick it forward agreement, take it to council that same night.
Mm.
So they say, yes, here's what we want to do, and we do want to enter into agreement. They can do this all on the 27th, and then we can move forward. So that's what our goal would be. We're not looking to say, hey, let's hold off on the fundraising. We'd want to get after it right away.
Yeah.
And there are some things with this project that we'd really do it in kind of, and I don't want to get into too much details, but there'd be really two portions of it. One, we would put the concrete pad down, run the electric and so on, and then we would bid out the fencing and the lighting and the surfacing. So we'd really kind of do it in two packages that way. But we don't want to start the project without having the money in hand. So no, the goal would be if we're going to do this fundraising, we would do it right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess to go back to make sure I get the proper answer, should the city enter into an agreement with Kick It Forward for fundraising of this project? Yes.
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 And then is there anything else the commission would like to provide direction on?
I guess just, whatever mechanism there is for either council to refer to public works staff regarding traffic calming and signage, and then just the general neighborhood concerns about parking and traffic calming, accelerate the plans for that. If council decides to move forward with the pitches generally, then let's also accelerate those traffic calming plans, or what else needs to be studied up there. So do the rest of the commission agree with what Sarah's saying on that?
And I think there was a couple parents that had already called the city about that, and especially I think because of that Y camp drop off.
Yeah.
So the city knows about it. So yeah, maybe y'all nudge them.
Yeah, and I think with this one, and this was it was a real issue, high priority for everybody in that meeting on the 5th. So that we'll share all this information with the public works, city traffic engineer, and so on. We do not control that budget. We do not control their other projects. We don't control what priorities are, but we will definitely share with council that this is what the commission's desire is to, hey, can we get some of this stuff done for the safety of the park users? We can share that message, and then they'll have to make that decision. So
The neat part about that, and Keith commented, the young man that brought that up was probably about 10 years old. And very articulate. And he talked about it that, we park on this side and it's dangerous to cross.
Yeah.
And so, you have young kids that are already kind of knowing this, and obviously they're a little bit more involved than the rest, but they were very concerned about their friends.
Yeah. And that was one of the neat things. We haven't said it yet, but there were probably, I'm going to say 8 to 10 kids, that were in there, and they were not afraid to raise their hand and provide comments. And in fact, at one point, one of the adults, he had a comment, and he said, hey, before I make my comment, I just want to say it's so great to see kids here and sharing your comments. Continue to do this, be involved in projects that you have an interest in and so on, and share your thoughts. And that actually got all the kids got a round of applause from all the adults in the meeting. So it was good to see. They were not afraid to share, and some of them came up afterwards and talked to me more at the end and gave some additional thoughts. So
Nice.
it was good.
Excellent.
And just one final thing is just reiterating what Sarah mentioned earlier about having clear signage about parking in the church. So maybe that could be something in those discussions
Yeah,
with
public works. Yeah.
Now that is something that we could maybe take a little bit more of a lead on, to help with making that happen. So, but we'll work with them on that.
Courtney, one of the things was, I think the comment was, can we have one just for soccer and then one multi-use? They were not, sorry, Nathan, they were not happy about pickleball. They did not want pickleball up there.
Yeah.
But it would be a use. But one of the things they did talk about was adjustable goals. And I don't know if the goals up there currently, or do they even have goals up there, are adjustable, because they said the little kids can't use them.
Yeah, so we and Joshua and I have had conversations about that since last week Monday. So the goals that we have up there are adjustable. So what the issue that comes about is you need a crank, to move those goals up and down. And we have tried at times where maybe we leave a crank out there, they get stolen. If we do have a crank out there, sometimes what happens is people are up and down, up and down, up and down, and then some of those gears and other mechanisms get stripped, and so on, and it's it becomes a real maintenance issue. So we haven't come to say what is the solution. What we have done in other places is where sometimes it's maybe it's 10 foot, or it's 8 foot, or it's 9 foot. And we had you had mentioned at Ines Grove, we had one, we were up by there the other day, and one hoop was at 10 foot and one hoop was at 9 foot or 8 foot, something along those lines. But so that's something that we, in concept, the adjustable hoops are great, and we just got to figure out how can we make them so they don't become an ongoing maintenance replacement, issue. So we'll continue to work on that.
Now, the goals themselves, those are built into the fencing, right?
Correct.
And there is just one size.
Yes, correct.
Or and if we did it on these courts,
For the soccer goals.
Soccer.
yeah, the soccer, we would not be able to adjust
Right,
those.
because it's built in the fencing.
Yeah, and it's right over the top of the goal, and it's just they're behind the goal and they come up, and they're just not. Yeah, those wouldn't be possible, but
Yeah.
like the
in
ones that we have up there, we do have a
I might
basketball
not.
pad with 2 hoops already.
Well, I think that's where they were wanting the adjust, because I think Keith even mentioned that, over the top of that, it can't come down
Correct.
onto the top of the goal unless you had something where you could move the goal all the way and it sinks in. But
yeah.
that does a whole nother thing. But one of the things that I kept hearing was Keith got them really, really excited about the walking track, or the walking loop. There was other things that they wanted, and if you could read Keith's writing, there's probably 5 or 6. But if that could be kind of detailed a little bit more, and maybe look at some cost estimates for the future, because the folks got excited about this, but they really do want that park to evolve,
Right.
is what I kept hearing from them, and so does the church.
Yep. Yeah, so just with the walking path or the loop that Dwayne keeps mentioning. So one of the questions was, well, if you want people to park in the church parking lot, then you're going to have a path from the parking lot to the shelter and the playground, because that's where people are going to go. And putting a stroller and other things across the grass is going to be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So what I had mentioned is that, if we were going to do something like this, right now along Hyde, there isn't a sidewalk in the park. So I said at Ines Grove, when we did the playground and the Miracle Field, we added sidewalks along Duff Avenue and along 24th, tied it into the park, and now you get almost a half-mile loop, and a lot of people like that. So mention it, and like Dwayne said, people were excited, and I said, right now there is no funding for it. It's something that we can put it on the list with all the other things, and I said, you could, and I did tell them these are all great comments. It's a lot of good information, and this is why we do these public input sessions. But I said, I hope you can understand that this is one park and we have 40 of them. And everybody has their desires and wish list and everything. So we take all this information and then we got to try to prioritize and see, hey, what is the next thing that we do, within the park system. So I think they understood that, but so it's something that. It's on us as staff when in the next years, keep bringing ideas, to you and see how it all fits. So.
And just with the comments about the basketball goals, obviously in this picture on the slide, it's over the soccer goals. There are courts that they're implemented on the sides. So you can have with one system, you would have 4. So then if there are people there to play basketball and not enough for a soccer game, soccer would still have a goal on one half and basketball could be played or another activity on another half. So that's also an alternate option. But still, even with that setup with them on the side, it does limit the ability to have adjustable hoops, and they haven't recommended that in any of their systems. So I just wanted to make that note.
Yeah. And just to give you some idea too, right now, there are places in the park system where we have just like a 30 by 30 pad, and we put one hoop. And if we double that pad, 30 by 60, then we put 2 hoops. This, with what Courtney was just saying, would be 50 feet across, maybe even a little bit less than that, depending, because you wouldn't want the hoops right up against the fence. You'd probably have them sticking out a little bit, so it might be 45. So just something that we'd have to do some more thinking about. Would we want to do that or not? But
All right. Any other questions, comments from commission? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah. You guys are just about as excited as the people were at the public input.
That's neat.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Next item on the agenda is project updates on the aquatic center and the plaza.
Yeah. So with the Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center, the council at the end of January on the 23rd, they did award contracts to 13 bid packages. Contracts and bonds were approved just on Tuesday night. So we're moving forward with those 13 bid packages. We had one bid package that we rebid, and that was for the steel and the precast concrete. Those bids were open today, and with the rebidding, low bid was about $288,000 more than what we had on January 11th. So it's still about $137,000 less than what the cost opinion was for that bid package. So we'll be taking this to City Council. Our staff's recommendation, Story Construction, their recommendation is to award, the contract and keep moving forward. So that's what we'll recommend on Tuesday. So they will do that, and then the council will make that decision, and then hopefully they award the contract, and then we'll get contract and bond for that last bid package on the 27th, and then we'll be all the bid packages will be good. One of the other things that we're going to take on the 27th is there is a component, it's called general conditions. There are costs for like fencing and utilities and dumpsters and all that kind of stuff that are part of the project. So we'll be doing a change order to Story Construction's contract. That is already factored in, to that roughly 19 million, with all the other bid packages and so on. So we'll do that. One of the other things council asked us to do is to come back with a list of maybe additional items that we could look at, or council could look at for seeing as bids came in, again, almost 3 million under what the cost opinion was. So a couple of things that we're looking at is, one, we're looking at adding solar, so design solar and then the equipment, but we would do that not as part of this project, probably after. It'd be a separate project, but we could use some of these funds for that. The other thing is that in the lap pool, right now we just have everything's painted, the basin's painted, and then the black lane lines are painted black. One of the ideas was to, instead of the black lines, which are usually the ones that fade the quickest and really require us to do repainting, what if we put those as tile, black tile? So that's something that we're going to share with council. In the multi-purpose rooms, we'll add some benches with some cubbies underneath, so if people come in, they can put their coat underneath. They can sit, change shoes if they need to. So those three we're pretty confident with. The other one is we're looking at is FF&E. Where we're kind of reviewing all of our FF&E. We have $500,000 in the budget. Do we need to up that? Because now would be the time to do that. Was there anything else besides those four? I think those were the main ones that. Oh, the other one is a donor wall. So we talked about a donor wall. We didn't put any allowance in any of the bid packages. So we're working with RDG right now. I think we have a meeting scheduled next week to get their preliminary ideas. So that would be something too that we want to make sure that is funded with these extra money. So I think those are the items. So
A fast question. You mentioned solar,
Yep.
possible solar on this. Is this solar water heating or solar galvanic panels?
tell me what galvanic panels mean.
Electrical power from solar panels.
Oh yeah,
Correct.
it would be electrical power.
Oh, okay.
Is what we would be looking at. And the system, the building already is designed. The structure is designed to support the addition of panels,
That was
and we also have conduit and panel set up in the mechanical or space for a panel. So we get solar up on the roof. All we got to do is run the wires, connect everything, and we're good to go. So, and the goal is that there's a couple of different options. If electric were to pay for these panels, then they would get all of the benefit. If we pay for the panels as part of the project, then we would get the benefit of the power generated from the solar panels. And we're really concerned about the operations budget. So we're looking at that second method where we install, we get the benefit, and we can hopefully help operations on that. So if you go by the site, a couple other things that are happening is we've relocating the electric lines that go through the middle of the site. So there was some trenching that happened on the south end. There's a new laminated telephone or electric pole that was put up in the southeast corner. So that's going to be part of that relocation. Joshua's been working with the communication companies, MetroNet, CenturyLink, to get their lines relocated. Asbestos has been work on the North Annex building. That's been happening. And then the other thing is our crews went in and we had to contract one tree, but our crews have been in taking trees down on there too to get ready for demolition. So trying to get all that stuff done. Demolition hopefully may around March 15th or so it'll get started. So I think those are the main things.
Asbestos removal was completed today.
Okay.
Perfect.
It was completed.
It was completed.
Good.
Today.
Yep.
That can sometimes drag on forever.
There really wasn't a ton, but they started on Monday and got it done. And I
Nice.
checked the site out. And they did exactly what I needed them to do.
All right.
This is the first time I've seen Joshua today. So that's why.
Thanks for that
Yeah. Actually, I saw him driving out of the parking lot this morning at 6:30 when I was going out to the building, and I walked in and Courtney was already there, and kind of crazy. But so I think that's all we have for the Fitch family indoor aquatic center for right now. As far as the Schenker Plaza, still working through there. They're doing what they can with it. They did pour some concrete inside the building. They were going to pour some concrete, I think, on Friday, maybe tomorrow or Monday to finish off the inside. Then the mason's going to come in, start putting up the block walls on the inside. So then water features and the ice can start maybe coming in and getting their stuff done. I think the chiller I saw maybe the first part of March. Condenser, there's some delays with that. We'll have to get more information from that side of it. But
Goal is to test the ice by the end of March,
Really?
or test the system by the end of
Oh,
March.
yeah,
Is
Which-
this-
it's gonna be 80 degrees.
yeah, which might be it really depends on when the condenser comes in. So we'll have to see, because there are some delays on some of the equipment. Go ahead,
Is this
Brian.
the extent of the ribbon? It looks small.
That is the ribbon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess when I looked at it on the model, that it was going to be a lot further down,
Yeah.
and that looks like it's only like half of the lot.
Yeah.
Did things
Yeah,
change?
This is exactly what has been shown on the plans all along. I would say once you look at the plans and you see it and think, oh, hey, that's gonna be pretty good size, and then gets out there, it is smaller, but
The architects took a weird view of the way we looked at the angle.
yeah,
I think too, once it's like landscaped around it and like you have, because when you're looking at the model, right, you're looking at all the stuff that's on the periphery.
I just thought the ribbon extended through the lot.
no,
Now it's
because
just kind of on that one end.
yeah, no, it was always about there, because if you walked out across from City Hall, cross the road, you go to the north a little bit around the north end of the ribbon to get to everything, and so it's pretty much built just like how it was on the plans. One thing that council did do on Tuesday night, part of the Public Art Commission, they did include $150,000 in their budget to solicit an artist to do an art sculpture over here. We had that initially, took that out because of costs. So that is something that's going to be, put back in as well. Not right away, but that will be. So I don't know what else to tell you, Dwayne.
It'll look
It'll
nice.
be so much fun when it's done.
Just skate circles.
You should have seen how tired Joshua was when we went up and checked out that that synthetic ice. It
Yeah,
was much
yeah.
more bigger
It was half
than
this
this.
Thanks a lot.
You're in much better shape now, though.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's all for the plaza.
Any other feedback for Keith? All right. Next item on the agenda is the monthly report.
I just mentioned briefly, we have our hiring tailgate, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, February 24th out of the Homewood Clubhouse. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to noon. We'll have free food, games, prizes, and it gives a chance for all interested candidates or people who want to learn about more about all the job opportunities Parks and Recreation has. All of the staff from park maintenance to all of our recreation managers will be on site to share information about their areas and all the jobs that are either currently open or jobs that'll be coming up for the summer. To start those, we've already started recruiting for Furman Aquatic Center since December, so that's still ongoing. But we hope to see everybody out at the hiring tailgate next February 24th at the clubhouse. And then also in talking more summer, Homewood Golf Course and Furman Aquatic Center, those passes are on sale now for season passes. And you have a option before May 1st to get a 10% discount on all Furman Aquatic Center passes. So we encourage everybody to start getting their passes. And all of our spring and summer programs are now officially open for registration. From what I hear, we already have it opened at midnight, and as of 12:01, we have swim lesson registrations already. So if you're looking to get into swim lessons, those have opened for Furman Aquatic Center, and get registered now. Spots will fill fast.
Yeah, I would also just add, and sometimes we don't spend enough time talking about this. So with our season summer passes, we do have scholarships available for some of our other activities. We have scholarships available. So if families, if individuals, youth, they follow, we use MICA, the Mid-Iowa Community Action. We use their guidelines. If a family qualifies for assistance through MICA, they can also qualify for scholarships for our programs. So that's something that really want to let people know that is available. And we give out, I think lately it's been roughly about $10,000 a year in scholarships. And I think last time we talked with the budget, we talked about the endowment that we're looking at doing and share that. So hopefully we can change our requirements and really reach a lot more people with those scholarships in the future.
Yeah, Parks maintenance staff has been really busy trimming trees within the park system, also in the right of way. Hopefully we'll get that done here by mid-March. Complete all the parks as a 5-year rotation. Also, Iowa DNR stocked 1,900 trout at the North Lake Ada Hayden here a couple weeks ago. It was unannounced due to the ice not being thick enough for ice fishing, but they'll be there once the ice is gone. I think it's almost gone now, but so if you want to go if you want to go fishing for trout, they'll be ready for you when you get out there.
I would maybe just mention one other thing. I don't know that we talked about this at all, but Joshua had been working with the Ames anglers, and the goal, one of the things that we were going to try to do in February, was they actually arranged for some cedar trees. They cut down some cedar trees. We went and picked up the cedar trees. They bought rope and block and everything. And the idea was that we were going to work with the Ames anglers to get the trees out on the ice. They would tie block on and everything. And then when the ice melted, the trees would drop down and create fish habitat. Unfortunately, the warm weather and the ice melt, it just wasn't safe to do that. But we really do appreciate the Ames anglers. They came out, a couple of their members came out one day, talked with Joshua and I, and said, yeah, we'd love to do something, anything that will help the habitat. So I want to thank the Ames anglers for wanting to do that. Unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate, so hopefully we can look at doing it next year with them.
Yep.
All right. Any other feedback for Courtney or Joshua? Okay. Next item on the agenda is commission member comments. Anybody? No comments?
I guess I would just publicly
Keith has a comment.
congratulate.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a commission member, but congratulate
Oh, yeah.
Jeff
Congrats to
on
Jeff.
an award that he received from Story County Conservation. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, Jeff?
Means I have to pronounce the name properly. It's an award for conservation and volunteer work over a period of time in Story County. And unfortunately, the name is almost, it's difficult for me to pronounce. Evan Spiegel. And so I was thrilled and surprised to be presented with this at a meeting of the Skunk River Paddlers, the annual meeting last month. So I was very surprised. Still am. Thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Right.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. Our next meeting is March 21st, 2024 at 4 p.m. here. Same bat time, same bat place. And I would take a motion to adjourn.
So motioned.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
Very good. Thanks.